By the late 1960s, the Cybermen had begun to overtake the Daleks as the most popular monster in Doctor Who. Not only did they open the 5th season in Tomb of the Cybermen, they were chosen to close the season with The Wheel in Space. For this story, the Cybermen were given a brand new look, but we don't want to talk about that today. But they were also given a new sound. Gone was the harsh monotone that we heard in the Moonbase and Tomb of the Cybermen.
Other methods to gain entry will be tried.
And now was a new voice that sounded a bit like this.
You know our ways.
Except for one scene, at the end of episode 3, where for some reason the Cybermen sound a little odd.
You will take us to the wheel.
So what happened? Episode 3 of The Wheel in Space was recorded on the 19th of April 1968. During recording, a fault developed with the voice box that was used to create the Cyberman voice. Attempts were made to use an ordinary microphone, adding in some distortion, but the effect was deemed unsuitable. So it was decided that the Cyberman scenes from episode 3 would need to be re-recorded. If we take a look at the camera script for episode 4, recorded the following week, we can see that scenes 5, 10 and 14 from episode 3 were planned to be recorded after the main bulk of recording for episode 4. However, episode 4 overran and the reshoots were postponed to be recorded alongside episode 5. This would have added some extra pressure onto the production team. Recording with episode 5 was probably the last chance to re-record those scenes. Episode 5 was recorded on the 3rd of May, and episode 3 was scheduled to be broadcast on the 11th of May, which didn't leave a lot of time for editing. To avoid this, a special recording session was set up ahead of the bulk of episode 5, and according to the camera script, between 5:30 and 6 p.m, the scenes from episode 3 were finally reshot. These were then later edited into episode 3 quite seamlessly, and that would appear to be that. Or was it? We're left with something of a mystery. While the 3 scenes of the Cybermen on the rocket were re-recorded, the cliffhanger of episode 3 was not. And that's what we see in the surviving episode, complete with wonky voices. So here's a logical theory about what might have happened. Reshooting the cliffhanger required more than just 2 Cybermen on the rocket set. It also required 2 actors in spacesuits and reshooting the closing captions for episode 3. While they could have reshot the cliffhanger alongside the bulk of episode 4, looking at the reshoot schedule in the camera scripts for episode 4 and episode 5, there was no plan to reshoot the end credits. So it must have been decided that this one scene and the 2 lines of dialogue from the Cybermen were deemed suitable enough for broadcast. Basically, we can live with it. There may well be an answer to this mystery in some of the paperwork, but as it's not readily available, we are stuck with this theory. What we are left with is the end of episode 3 and an example of how, even with the best will in the world, things can still go wrong.